Well, hi, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the Rural Crime Farm Safety Training YouTube channel. Great to see you here. Thank you very much for joining us. So this is quite a spooky chat that we're about to have in a moment, because you'll be well aware, if you've been following social media, particularly on LinkedIn over the last couple of days, this is Anti-Social Behaviour Awareness Week. And there's been a lot of activity from various agencies around antisocial behaviour and the impact that it's having on lots of different parts of our society in the United Kingdom. And one of the particular areas that's been of interest to me is the impact that it has on our historic sites. And in a moment, I'm going to introduce you to our guest, who has a lot of experience in this field, and who's going to give us some insights into antisocial behaviour, in particular as it applies to our national heritage sites. You can see tickering across the bottom there. I'm going to introduce in a moment Mark Harrison. Mark is a former serving police officer in the United Kingdom, and currently he is the head of heritage crime at Historic England. So without further ado, if I may click a couple of little buttons and introduce my guest. Mark, good afternoon, sir. How's it going?
Hello, Richard. A lot cooler today than it was yesterday.
It's been a bit much, hasn't it? It's been absolutely awful. But
yeah, and you're talking to the guy that wears a vest in winter, so you can imagine for me.
You've been suffering. Well, Mark, as we kick off, seriously, I just want to send out a really big thank you to both yourself for giving up your time today. It's very much appreciated, but also to extend that thanks to Historic England as well. You know, it's a busy week. There's a lot going on. Antisocial behaviour, generally speaking, you guys are busy with dealing with all of that aspect, those criminal aspects of things happening to our heritage across the United Kingdom. And I know from what's been going on, it's full on, and it's kind of relentless, really. But what I noticed, and you kindly pointed this out to my attention not so long ago, there's a lot of talk about rural crime, and you quite rightly mentioned to me not so long ago that all the talk about rural crime to the average Joe Blogs, including myself, really, you've mentioned rural crime and you think things on farms getting stolen, tractors, GPS trackers, people nicking cattle and sheep, and that happens.
Yeah.
But then there's this side of it, isn't there? There's the historic side, our monuments, and that's what I'd like us to concentrate on today. Before we do that, I just want to mention, Mark, that for anybody watching, if you're watching either, and there are people now watching us live, so if you're watching on either the LinkedIn channel or indeed the YouTube channel, if you have any questions or you have any comments, type them into your browser. They will appear here on the right hand screen, and after we've had a look for profanities and disgusting talk and all the rest of it, if they're appropriate, we'll bring them in, and then I'm sure Mark will be delighted to answer any questions that come along. I mean, Mark, to kick us off then, what's been going on antisocial behaviour wise, particularly in our sort of ancient monuments and sites and historic venues across the UK? Is there a theme or a pattern that is worth talking about?
Well, humans have lived in these islands that we now call Britain, so the British Isles. Do you want to have a guess how long?
Quite a long time.
Yeah. It's about 800,000 years. So our ancestors have left, here comes a technical expression, a lot of stuff around since that time. You know, objects that they used in their daily lives, their burial sites, features in the landscapes, stone circles, buildings, railways, canals. It's all there. So it's our story. Yeah. So when somebody comes along and causes damage or loss to our story, that's a crime against all of us. There are 400,000 plus protected sites in England. Scotland, Wales, Northern Ireland have their own list, and people can check out the numbers there. But overall, there's going to be, well in excess of 600,000 known protected sites, plus all the unknown sites. So with all the developments going on I'm getting some echo there.
I know we got you clear. You're good. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Things are coming up all the time. So again, we've got to think about protecting I think Rumsfeld described them as the known knowns,
Yeah. I remember it.
the known unknowns.
Yeah.
Well, I think we can describe them as the known unknowns because, over nearly 1 million years, there probably isn't going to be an area of land or seabed that doesn't have heritage. And if it's taken or damaged in a way that's not controlled and we haven't had the opportunity to study, it's not just the object or the building that's gone, it's the ability to understand in the future and the ability to study in the future. Now, you think 10 years ago, would we have been talking about quantum computers?
Well, exactly.
Artificial intelligence. Just think what scientists are going to develop over the next 200, 300, 400 years. They're going to be looking at things without even excavating them and reconstructing the past. So this is really important. And the interesting thing about that 400,000 number is that places of worship, local authorities, parish councils, we reckon they own and look after about 50,000 sites.
That is huge. That's massive, isn't
So,
it?
but the big number is the remainder, the public. So when you mentioned about rural crime and farm crime, landowners, generally farmers, own a huge amount of historic sites and buildings. And they are very proud of that. Their farmhouse might be listed. The bottom field might have a Roman villa in it. And when you go around to the farms and you see these little museums where over the years the ploughing's brought up things to the surface, they're very proud about that. So there's a real passion for the past. So that rural crime definition, agricultural crime, heritage crime, wildlife crime, at the end of the day, it's all about harm and how it impacts on the well-being of our population. That's why I do this job.
That's why you got such a passion for it. Of all of those different sites, of which the numbers are vast, just to put it into context for everybody then, are there any particular types of sites that are more vulnerable to the crimes that are committed?
Well, let's give you an example. In the background, you can see this church in Cambridgeshire that was literally burnt down about 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Fantastic job by the fire brigade saving that. It's now back in use, but it's not the same as it was. Today we launch Operation Vulcan, which is the new national campaign to prevent arson, fires in the historic environment.
Yeah.
So the last 2 days that we've had, high temperatures, our landscapes are like a tinderbox. Timber frame buildings, thatch, really, really dry. So even if it's someone, I don't want to say messing about, but someone that's maybe experimenting with a magnifying glass and all of a sudden it gets out of hand.
Boom, yeah.
Yeah. But we've also got people that are pure arsonists. We had a fire at Underfall Harbour in Bristol a couple of years ago. You may have seen the whole harbour dockside went up.
Yeah.
And we lost a number of our most precious vessels during that fire. And that was with intent. The arsonist actually set the fire, recorded it, posted it, and gave himself up. Now, someone could have died. Fortunately, no rough sleepers were in those buildings. But fire is one of the few offences we've got that can lead to total loss, can lead to serious injury and potentially fatalities.
Yes.
So I'm delighted that the National Fire Chiefs Council and the National Police Chiefs Council coming together with us and all the other heritage organisations to develop a national arson reduction strategy that includes heritage in the historic environment.
Brilliant stuff. Yeah, because like the stuff you've mentioned in the background there, on that level, that scale, that's irreplaceable, almost irreplaceable. You can't. I'm sure they restored the cathedral in France and all the rest of it, but the cost and the and the involvement it's phenomenal. It's really, really difficult. So we lose stuff forever, don't we? Really?
We lose stuff, and yes, we can make facsimiles. We can make amazing copies. In some cases, you do 3D printing, but it's not the original.
Yeah, it's gone forever. Is there any typical sort of crime scene? So you mentioned the church behind you there. What other locations and what activities are the criminals getting up to? Because I guess some of it, you mentioned it a minute ago, might be just people messing around, but it's still a crime at the end of the day, isn't it?
Yeah. So when I first started, I was a senior cop. I was an archaeologist. I was asked to come and work for, as it was back then, English Heritage. And my role had been created because of the findings of a report on a specific type of heritage crime called Nighthawking,
right?
Which is a euphemism for unlawful metal detecting.
Yeah.
And now, any metal detectorists listening, we're talking about criminal detectorists.
Yeah. Exactly.
There's about 40,000 hobby detectorists out there that do an amazing job. They're out in all weathers. They're on land with permission. They're reporting their finds to the Portable Antiquity Scheme, and they're making amazing discoveries. My role was to come in to help law enforcement understand the problem and to introduce them to the heritage sector and the detecting community.
Yeah.
But the way that the Home Office asks police services to record that type of crime, it's not easy. It means that we weren't able to extract the intelligence to understand what was going on. So we had to do it academically. And we worked with Newcastle University. And I know it's a little bit old now, but I think it's still relevant.
Yeah.
So this was 2012, 2013. And based on their findings, using some incredibly clever statistical analysis, they reckoned that 200 heritage sites a day were being attacked by crime and antisocial behaviour of one type or another. Now, my math's not brilliant, but that equates to 70,000 incidents a year. If we'd allowed that to go on, every single site in the country is essentially going to be damaged within a very short period of time. So that gave us a really strong baseline to build upon. And so over the years, we've now got to where we are, which is we've got heritage cops like John O'Lightfoot, who you interviewed a couple of weeks ago, heritage crime cop, and his Sergeant Rob Simpson and the rest of the team up there. So those officers, those teams, those specialist officers are in every force, not just in England now, but in the United Kingdom.
Good. That's really interesting. And I think, if I'm correct, if I'm wrong, I think you actually do the training. I saw something recently where
I do.
Yeah, you were doing a presentation to a senior lady officer, police officer, which was really quite good. What is it what are they learning during that?
Just quite good. Just quite good.
It's very good. But what are they learning? What's that all about? Because you got all that experience and that knowledge to give across. Take us through the training. Tell us what you tell them.
Well, before the pandemic, the access to video link was quite small, wasn't it? You might have had Google Hangouts. If you were lucky, you had an Apple FaceTime, or you might have had Skype. Do you remember Skype?
A long time ago, yeah.
Gone now. Gone.
Yeah. There's
we're finding ways to do remote working, remote training, but it was difficult. When the pandemic came, all of a sudden, government needed the video links. We had Zoom. Do you remember Zoom?
Oh, I love it.
And then we had Teams with part of the Microsoft suite. And we wanted to find a way to keep the momentum going because we were doing lots of face-to-face training.
Yeah,
which I really like because, like you, I can sense what the room feels like.
Yeah,
people are shuffling around and they need a break. You can take a break. If someone's not really engaged, you can take them aside. So we had to find a way. No, in a nice way.
That's good. That's wondering where that was going. Though, but yeah,
empathy, emotional intelligence.
A bit of empathy. Can't beat a bit of empathy. Exactly.
And we tried to find a way that we could do that on Teams.
Yeah.
So I've got some brilliant colleagues. I've got Stephanie Elvin, I've got Paul Jeffrey, who are experienced trainers. And it means that we can put the content together, and we use the chat box function to run the exercises.
Brilliant. Yeah.
So Paul and Stephanie looking at the chat box, feeding that back to me with questions, and we can pick out people that are not maybe so engaged and drop them a note to say what's going on.
Yeah.
And it's worked incredibly well. It doesn't take away the face-to-face stuff, but it means we can reach out to a lot more people.
Yeah, exactly.
We've made it testable, so they have to actually pass that part through their answers in the chat box.
Yeah.
If they don't get through, we'll have a chat to them, see if it's really for them.
Yeah.
They're having a bad day, they can always come back and do it again. But the second bit's the really important bit. We give them 6 weeks to actually put a case study together.
Okay.
It might be an investigation they work on.
Yeah.
It might be a heritage site in their local park or their local area. Show us that you've taken that knowledge that we gave you on that 4 hours input. Show us that you understand it and you can put it into action. And the main part of the training is, we've accrued all of this knowledge over years.
Yeah.
What we're trying to do is give this to you very quickly, but we're always here.
Oh, I like that. That's a great.
They know that we're available. And I always say to them, the quicker you can let me know that you've got an issue, the more help we can give you. If I don't know, I know somebody that does.
Yeah,
it's nothing to do with Historic England. I can make sure it's routed through to the right agency.
Yeah,
and we're getting some really, really good cops now.
Jono, they're very active up there, aren't they?
We've got Emily Thomas in Wiltshire.
Yeah,
huge numbers of really experienced heritage cops now. They're not even calling me now, Richard, because they're that confident.
Oh, good. There you go.
That they know what to do, and the email then comes just to let you know this is what we've done.
Done this, finished this, blah blah blah. Is the plan then? Because correct me if I'm wrong. There's about 43 different police forces, I thought, so across the UK.
46 with Scotland and Northern Ireland, and the specialist forces, transport, defence, and nuclear.
And are they all going to get some of this training? Is the plan will they all get that? Will it be across the UK? Excellent. Oh, that's really
we've just done the table to see who needs an update, because as there's an ebb and flow of retirements, people moving on, promotions. The nice thing about promotions is that those heritage cops that do get promoted are then ambassadors and advocates for the thematic.
Got it. Yeah.
So that means that I haven't got to do a sort of a selling job on that force, because I've got senior officers that have got the badge.
They've been there, done that, and they've got the badge. I was really, really interested to see that it's not just to sit down and have a listen course. You got to do that like case study. Yeah. That's really good.
So they come back. We do it as a team exercise.
Yeah.
So they got 3 to 5 minutes, and that's a skill in itself. Get across your points in 3 to 5 minutes. You can use a slide deck if you want to, and then the rest of the audience can ask questions. I bring in an external board, and if we feel you've acquired the standard, get a badge.
Get a badge, yeah! I'm a heritage crime officer, yeah.
The public really like it.
I think that's really cool.
You turn up to listed building that's been damaged, or a scheduled monument that's been dug up. The victim looks at that and go, "Oh, you know all about this, do you?"
Yeah.
So we get a really big confidence outcome.
No, that's really good. Now you've kind of given us a seamless segue into the next segment that I wanted to talk about. So thank you for that. Unknowingly, because we talk about
it's a skill, mate.
Well, if I may say, you've got it down to a fine art without a shadow of a doubt, Mark. But we talk heritage crime, and it covers such a vast area, a lot of different things, and just to bring it home so people aren't thinking rural crime, although it's often in rural and remote areas.
Of course, there's various definitions of rural crime, and it's all crime. That's the thing. It's all crime. It's all antisocial behaviour. Sometimes it's not helpful to have a moniker attached to it, because at the end of the day, this is about harm. So harm to the heritage asset and harm to the mental health and well-being of the victim. So for me, this is just, this is polycriminality. This is people getting involved in all types of criminal behaviour. They're not saying let's go and do some rural crime. They're not saying let's go and do some heritage crime. They're just doing let's do some crime.
It's crime, exactly. Yeah, they're not picky. It's just crime. Let's have a look at some of these pictures that you kindly sent me a link to. So these are out in the public domain anyway. They're on Google, so we're not showing anybody's secrets or anything like that.
No, but all of these photographs, these images are approved, and we have consent of the owners.
But I had a quick skip through them before we started, and I think they're really great because it shows us the breadth of what's going on out there. So I'll just quickly flick through them, Mark, at your leisure, really. So
okay, so we got the theft of the lead roof covering from this wonderful church in Leicestershire, and of course the actual church community didn't know that had been stolen until it rained. And of course, when it rained, all the water came through the gaps, started damaging the electrics, the plasterwork, the organ, the prayer books, hymn books. And these are individual charities. Each church is an individual charity, has to fund itself. Insurance, electricity, gas, paying the priests' wages. Congregations are very small in some of these places, so something like this is almost existential to churches that may have been in continuous worship for 1,000 years. And to take the lead like this is minutes. So a selfish act that takes minutes can actually impact on the future sustainability of this church.
One of the interesting things, as you pointed out earlier, I had a good chat with John O'Lightfoot on this very channel, and he was telling me a little story. He had slides up actually of the importance of vigilance and not accepting things at face value. And he actually went through an example of a church like this, an old, very quiet, out of the way sort of village church. What the criminals did was literally put up scaffolding around the church and spent 2 days and off they were around there brazenly having cups of tea with the community in their high-vis jackets while stealing all of the lead and other artifacts from the church. But it just appeared to be normal. And his message was, don't accept anything at face value. No. Be inquisitive, be curious, and ask those questions.
And any genuine contractor will not have any issue at all with being visited by the cops to say, can I see your paperwork, please?
Yeah, quite right. So there's a church roof then with all its bits nicked, lead gone. This was the next one. Quite a very nice picture, I must say there, Mark. Anyway,
I know you do get distracted by the rainbow, but as you come down, you can see that there is no lead.
Yeah, gone. Yeah, gone altogether. We have a church nearby here. So I'm in the northeast of England, just on the coast at Newcastle. A couple of miles down the road is Whitley Bay, and there's a church there. I have no idea what it's called, the name-wise, but often in that church are gangs of youths, and they go there and they drink and they get up to mischief. So what would normally be a beautiful, serene area of quiet churchyard actually is often littered with rubbish and plastic and cigarettes and beer, and they have little bonfires. It's an absolute nightmare, such an eyesore. And again, they're causing damage, aren't they, as they go? Who are these bad boys then? Merseyside.
Well, who'd have thought it? Merseyside, branding their vehicles Rural Heritage and Wildlife Crime Team.
Brilliant.
And really, really energetic team up there.
Yeah, you see them a lot. And I'd say the ones that jumped out, I'm sure they're all doing a fantastic job, but the ones that I noticed to be very prominent from what I can see are the Merseyside, you mentioned Jono Lightfoot and Rob Simpson from Cheshire. They always seem very, very active. And the Thames Valley as well. They seem very, very proactive. And the reason they caught my eye is I wouldn't have actually thought of them as the rural area that they are, but obviously they are, and they've got their own dedicated little team.
Buckinghamshire, Berkshire,
Essex, your neck of the wood down there. Look,
here we go. Yeah, so Colchester Castle.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, and of course that's where our national policing lead Rachel Nolan is the Deputy Chief Constable.
Right, yeah.
In Essex. So she leads on heritage and cultural property crime for National Police Chiefs Council. She also has the portfolio for police support volunteers.
Okay. So there's a whole load of people at it there. Is it all joined up, Mark? You know, like intelligence sharing and that kind of stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you have a chief council lead because, you know, trying to individually deal with 46 forces, that's tricky. So if you've got a deputy chief constable that can actually send comms out for you, it's really helpful. And so Rachel's been in that portfolio for 5 years. We also work very closely with Andy Profit. He's the new chief of Hertfordshire Constabulary. And he leads on antisocial behaviour, so it's a big week for him as well.
Oh God, yeah, massive, yeah.
And then Charlie Doyle, who's assistant chief at British Transport Police, incredibly supportive colleague, Charlie, around metal theft.
Right, yeah.
So he gets the concept of, you know, theft of heritage metals.
Yeah, again, a big problem. Along with the Nighthawkers, did you call them earlier?
Well, others will call it Nighthawking. I will call it thieves.
It's the crime, isn't it? It's not absolutely simple as that. They're committing a crime. Let's have a quick flick through a couple of. Who's this fella then?
Well,
Essex police officer.
He's a very smart cop, isn't he? Standing in front of a windmill. We really do need to find out what his name is. I keep getting asked. I keep asking, "Where's the mill?" So I need to find out. If anyone on the call recognises the cop or the mill, please leave it in the chat.
Oh, I'm going to find out his name now. I'm going to.
He could be a model, couldn't he?
It could be. He might be AI for all we know. He might not exist. Yeah. I know, there he is. Look, guarding his windmill, the safest windmill that we've ever seen. I'm going to find out. Oh, is this more stuff being
theft? Yeah, and that's the church with the rainbow over the top of it.
Oh, I gotcha. Oh, brilliant. So that gives us, and then look at it, strip bare.
Yeah, it's the entire roof, Richard. The entire roof.
Unbelievable. I just want to mention, this is a great sort of example. We mentioned the public in that little church incident that Jono made me aware of, just accepting it. What do you do? So what does Historic England and the police forces around the UK, what do they do for education for the public awareness? Are there any sort of I know we've got ASB week this week, which is great, but do you do other things throughout the year to promote what is a huge problem?
Yeah, we need to put this in the chat, but we need to put my web pages into the chat box, because on there over the years people have asked us for guidance and advice.
Yeah, well, what are they?
So we've got, standard crime prevention, locks, bolts, burglar alarms, those types of security matters. Also helping owners and managers understand how to actually undertake an assessment so they can actually choose the most relevant types of crime prevention. So we've done that. For judges and magistrates, we've done guidance to help them with their sentencing.
Interesting. Yeah.
We've also worked with specialist colleagues around not how to do graffiti, but how to prevent it and to clean it sympathetically.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
So you use the right technique, because graffiti is, very pervasive, particularly oil-based solvents. They get right into the fabric.
Yeah.
So we've done that. What else have we done? We've done a small manual for police officers that accompanies to training, but we're looking to expand on that now.
Oh, that's a good call. So you end up with standard approach across the board.
If we haven't put it in if we can find it and put it in the chat box, it's basically put historic England heritage crime into your search engine, and it will bring up all of those advice notes.
Is it all on a particular website, Mark? What's the website?
Yeah, it's on the Historic England website.
And is that just what, www.
I'll tell you what, let me find it. Talk away, I'll find it, and I'll stick it in the chat box.
Well, I'll stick it in now. I'll have it tickering across the bottom in the next couple of seconds. Yeah, that'd be cool.
Let me do that for you.
So while you're looking at that, I'm going to flick through the next picture, which is again someone's lead that's obviously no longer as part of the building on the roof. These maybe got caught in the act then, did they? Yeah, abandoned roofing lead following attempted theft. Copyright of Keith Halliday. Yeah. Look at this, loads of it in there. It's massive.
Right, where do I stick it? Private chat.
I'll do it. No, tell me what it is. www.
There you go. It's in the chat for you.
Let's put that in, shall we? Let's copy that. Put that in there.
Yes, so you're quite right. They were disturbed, and gravity is the thieves' biggest tool with lead theft.
Yeah,
because they just make a single cut and then they just roll it and it falls off.
Yeah.
So they attracted their presence by the thud. The actual
got it. Yeah, the big lump thud, and then off they ran, sort of thing.
Yeah,
away they go. Operation Arrowhead. Now,
that's Cheshire Police's dedicated name for heritage crime.
Oh, right. Okay, cool. So there's that. There's Op Vulcan that you mentioned earlier. That was particularly related to arson, if I heard you.
Fires and arson, yeah.
Fires and arson. And then we've got that. Okay, Cheshire's Op Arrowhead. We'll have a cut.
Colchester Castle again.
Same people there, having a good old patrol around. And then
this is a wonderful brass eagle lectern. They're designed to hold the Bible.
Was it nicked? Has it been nicked?
We've had several of these stolen over the years. And this is why we put so much effort into training scrap metal dealers, helping them to understand the different types of heritage metal.
Yeah.
Something like this comes across your doorstep.
Yeah. Ask the questions. Yeah. Because why has he got one of them, or why has she got one of those? Yeah.
Brass has a very low value for scrap.
Right.
But as a cultural object, now that's over nearly 150 years old. That's been in that church, being used. Christenings, funerals, weddings, other forms of worship. It belongs to all of us. It's not theirs to steal.
Yeah, exactly that. And look at it, beautiful bit of kit as well. We'll just have a couple more of these up, Mark, see what we've got. So this is obviously stone.
Yeah. So this is a bridge in North Yorkshire, and the thieves have ripped up the Yorkstone paving. That's Operation Lithic.
Lithic, yeah. Oh, Jono's been involved in that. In fact, I think he leads on that.
Yeah. So Jono is working with me as the national tactical lead for stone theft.
Yeah.
And importantly, the illicit trade in stone. Unlike scrap metal, there's no regulatory framework for buying and selling stone.
Yeah, right. Okay.
So that means you can take it to an architectural salvage yard or reclamation yard, some people call it. There's no requirement to take records of the seller or the vehicle they've came in.
Yeah.
And the yard can give a cash transaction.
There you go. That's it. Disappeared into the night then, hasn't it? Disappeared and untraceable. So there, look, they've nicked the whole lot, haven't they? That's the whole pavement gone there. Absolute nightmare.
The entire span of the bridge.
Wow.
Yeah. So this is an animal trough, cattle trough, some people call them. It's the forerunner of the RSPCA, effectively.
Yeah.
1860s, animals were still being driven from rural areas into market towns, and animal welfare wasn't really a thing. But these people instigated the placement of these troughs to give the animals some water.
And that's
so horses, cows, geese, sheep. And the bottom one is for sort of birds. And if you look on the right-hand side, there's a little fountain with a cup for the human as well. Lots of these not used as troughs anymore, but community volunteers turn them into wonderful little gardens.
Yeah, beautiful historic bit of kit and looks beautiful.
Yeah.
And it's amazing what people are nicking it. That's just
So they're nearly 2 metric tons,
Jesus.
solid granite, and the thieves posed as highways engineers.
Right.
And so they took 8, and we've recovered 2, and we're hopeful that we'll get the rest back. And the reason I'm hopeful is I don't understand the market for these yet, but I'm guessing that it's people that are quite wealthy, have a disposable income.
Yeah.
And when we put out the Crime Stoppers appeal, when we put it on the TV, I'm hoping the phone goes, I bought this, I'm really sorry, would you like it back? And we need to get people to really think about due diligence and checking provenance before they buy anything like this.
Yeah, I think it's so important. Yeah. Especially something like that, you know, as you say, irreplaceable. So this is going back to what you were talking about earlier, wasn't it?
So this is Ashley Tether. Look, he's wearing his badge there.
Yeah, he's been on one of your courses there, Mark. He's one of the successful boys.
He's now on the National Rural Crime Unit.
Yeah.
And so I think he's doing farm machinery with Andy Huddleston's team.
Yeah.
And you've got Ashley here. He's looking at some graffiti on the geological part of the Chester walls. And you can imagine that's a sandstone. So that solvent paint has really soaked in. It's like a sponge.
It's going to be right in there, isn't it? Yeah.
We caught 5 offenders for that. They've been dealt with, and good job by Ashley.
Good on them. It links into another question perhaps at this point. So you just mentioned the National Rural Crime Network, and which Andy Huddleston is our local guy here, actually.
Rural Crime Unit.
Yeah. So are you all working?
Yeah.
Very, very closely linked. And
so we one of the high-profile jobs we worked on was the Sycamore Gap case.
Oh, excellent. Okay. Yeah.
And just pointing out that Graffiti's Operation Spectra.
Spectra. Okay.
Yeah, not Spectre as in James Bond, but Spectra as in Spectrum.
Yeah.
This is a really exciting piece of work, Richard. Imaging graffiti tags and what they call piecework, so the sort of artistic elements, is nothing new.
Yeah.
We used to use Polaroid cameras. Do you remember that?
I do. Sadly, I do. I know.
And we would take the Polaroid image around schools and other places saying, does anyone recognize this tag? Well, Spectra is bringing together some of the best minds in the country around criminology, around artificial intelligence and chemistry.
Yeah.
So we're actually linking in geolocation of the graffiti tag, taking a sample of the paint, and then crunching that data together.
Brilliant.
So it builds up this huge picture. And of course, with artificial intelligence, these generative models, the more information you give them, the more useful they are.
Yeah, that's cool. That's a great advancement. AI in this, that's just brilliant. Yeah, that'll leap forward quite something, won't it? That's really, really interesting. That that's the same guy. So that's where they're doing the testing there, by the look of it. It's checking it and scraping it and doing.
We need literally not quite a pinhead, a little bit bigger than that.
Yeah.
But the chemists at Loughborough University, Professor Paul Kelly and Professor Sandy Dan, 2 of the world's greatest chemists, and helping us understand how do we actually take a sample. And it's very sophisticated, Richard.
Yeah.
It's 3M magic tape.
We are advanced.
It's this cellulose tape that you use when you're photocopying to. And it just lifts off a tiny sample.
Love it.
That then goes into the lab, and they use this wizardry called XRF, X-ray fluorescence, and it gives us the chemical composition of the paint. So we can start seeing
that's cool,
what paint manufacturers and the vandals are preferring.
Oh, that's really nice. That's really brilliant. And a little bit of tape can't go wrong. I just want to mention here, Mark, there's a few people watching, just to remind people who may have just popped on that if you do have any questions, please do feed them into, whether you're on LinkedIn or YouTube. Just put them in the chat. They'll appear, and I'll present them to Mark as we go. We'll have a couple of more of these. Oh, there we go. So Vulcan material there for sure.
Yeah, so that's in Wythenshawe in Manchester. Fantastic restoration job, and the arsonist deliberately set fire to it just before it was due to reopen. And he left us some DNA and also a text message, which helped the police a lot. So that's now restored again, and that is now open to the public again.
Oh, so it's back up, been restored fully. Oh, nice one. Okay. Oh, no, good end to it, because it looks like proper extensive.
So a restoration of the restoration.
Yeah, bang on. What's this then? This is a Bronze Age axe head.
Yeah. Oh, I was going to give you a quiz there. What do you think this is?
Yeah,
this is actually one of my jobs when I was still in the police. So you can see it's a Kent Police evidence bag. Yeah. Very selfish young man, Kevin Watson, approached the archaeologists who were doing the archaeology on a site that was going to become a school. He asked for permission. They said, no, we're working with a local detecting club. Thank you very much. So he came back in the evening as a trespasser, went into the trenches where the archaeologists had been working, and put his pickaxe through a Bronze Age, what we call a hoard.
Yeah.
So a very large assemblage of axes, spearheads, knives, swords, ingots, inside this enormous ceramic vessel, like a bowl. That was thousands of fragments just destroyed. And he hooked out the bronze items, took them home. And then about 3 weeks later, he tried to report it as he found some treasure. And so I had a look at it with my colleague, Dr. Andrew Richardson, and we said, yeah, but where's the rest of it? The magistrates agreed, and they gave us a search warrant, and we found the rest of the stuff.
Got it.
Yeah.
Good. Another successful criminal.
But the thing is, the next day, the archaeologists would have found that hoard intact.
Yeah.
So all of the associated environmental evidence that was inside that vessel was intact. Kevin Watson took away that opportunity.
Yeah, exactly. Ruined it for everybody, basically. Okay, is that the same?
This is our friend and colleague,
Rosie?
Dr. Rosie Everett, amazing forensic scientist. She's worked with us on a number of jobs now. As you can see, another Bronze Age axe, this time from Beeston Castle in Cheshire. Very good job, all round English heritage, historic England, Cheshire Police, Greater Manchester Police, because the offenders were tracked to Manchester. And we did 7 search warrants, and the offenders thought that they'd cleaned the axes.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
there's always something.
Yeah.
And of course, Rosie was able to find microscopic soil.
Yeah.
And that matched perfectly with Beeston.
See, that's got to be satisfying. That's brilliant. Yeah. When you think you got away with it, and then you haven't. Here you go. Same type.
It wasn't quite that dirty. That has been sort of staged a little bit, but they were microscopic. So this is, people listening would have heard about forensic markers like smart water, selector, DNA, those types of things. Well, over the last 7 years, we've been working with chemists and colleagues in Holland, in the Netherlands, to develop a safe and sustainable forensic marker for underwater heritage.
Wow. So,
it's taken us a while because obviously the environmental impacts have got to be considered. It's got to be, will it survive in salt water? So we're into year 2 of that testing now.
Oh, brilliant. Oh, wow, that's quite a fascinating project. It's really interesting. You've got so many.
And you'll notice it's got the Heritage Watch logo on there. So Heritage Watch underwater now.
That's pretty good, isn't it? Okay, here everywhere. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take those pictures off for now. In fact,
Okay.
let's bring me and you back into the center. I just want to ask a couple of questions, Mark, if I may. We've talked about education, the training that goes on amongst the police. Is heritage crime talked about at schools and college? Is there anything in the education system?
Well, certainly at Historic England, we have an amazing program that's called Heritage Schools.
Good.
They've had hundreds of thousands of young people through those programs. So heritage crime is not specifically spoken about with the children.
Yeah.
Because that's primary schools. But we now have the Heritage Youth Partnership that we developed just before the pandemic, and it was for police cadets. But it gave us the confidence to say, well, which other uniform groups would like to get involved? And working with the amazing team at Youth United Foundation, it gave us the confidence to say, okay, who else in the sector would like to get involved? So National Trust, English Heritage, Historic Houses, etc. And all 11 groups in the Youth United Foundation network said, yes, we'd like to work with you.
Brilliant. Plus
the Duke of Edinburgh's award scheme and others, so non-uniform groups as well. So that's a fantastic piece of work. There's 1.5 million young people in uniform youth groups. If you then expand that to their caring group, mothers, fathers, aunts, uncles, there's millions of people. And it sort of fits into a statistic that keeps me going in this job.
Yeah.
The Department for Culture, Media and Sport every couple of years does a survey, and it's called the Taking Part Survey. And the two questions that I always look at are, how many heritage sites did you visit in the last 12 months? And 75% of the adult population of England say, I have visited 2 or more sites. Then the next one is the big one. Do you think the government should be doing more to protect our heritage? And it's always 90-odd%. And the last time around, it was 94%.
Wow.
So that gives me the confidence that the public have a passion for the past. And they want to see us doing something. But we can't put everything on the police. They've got all kinds of other priorities. So Heritage Watch is a real, the thing to concentrate on. The owners and managers, giving them the confidence to understand how to protect their sites, give them the confidence of who to call if they're victimized, and make sure that's recorded as a heritage matter. So training the call handlers to expect these calls.
Yeah.
So we're going to be really pushing that on Saturday as part of Heritage Crime Week.
Yeah.
And we've just had our first police cadets through the Heritage Cadet Challenge.
Right.
Delighted to report that Warwickshire volunteer police cadets are now
Heritage Cadet. Oh, look at that. How cool is that? I love it, man. That's great.
They've put over 50 new entries, images and condition assessments onto the National Heritage List for England as part of the National Archive.
Brilliant. That's
they can show their parents, their teachers, this is what I've done. They're now saying to me and the Police and Crime Commissioners, Philip Seckham, we'd like to train other cadets on how to do this. So that's the whole point of the Heritage Youth Partnership. It isn't me sort of going on. It's about the young people leading the training and the enthusiasm.
I think that's great. There's so much going on there. That's brilliant. So I'm just looking at the time here. And so what I'm going to do before we go, I'm going to wash us up in a moment, but I want to bring in this for a moment. So your Historic England website has got so much information on it, and people can find it by simple Google search, which I just did. Type in Historic England, and it's always the first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 or so things. And I would urge people to go and have a look at that. I'm going to close that again now. But it's a brilliant website. I was looking around it earlier on. It's got so much information. So, and from an awareness.
And of course, our sister agencies in Wales, Scotland, Northern Ireland, Crown dependencies all have similar types of site. One of the things when we started was, if we develop something in England, make it transferable to home countries. And what we're seeing now is people picking up these ideas elsewhere on the planet.
That's really cool. Right, so if I may just do a very quick wash up, Mark, before we close, and of course the final word will always come to your good self before I put you out of shot. I want to reiterate what I said at the start, really. Big thanks to yourself and Historic England. Seriously, it's been really, really interesting. It's fascinating, and time's flown by. But I think what you've put across in this short time that we've had here today is a lot of information that I am pretty damn sure it's going to open a lot of people's eyes as to, oh, wow, who'd have thought that was going on? You mentioned all the police operations, the work that goes on awareness, crime prevention. But I think especially important in the context of it being ASB Awareness Week, those photographs that you talked to,
and Heritage Crime Week.
Yeah, Heritage Crime Week, absolutely, intrinsically linked in together. The scale of it, and but more importantly, the types, the fires, the metal theft, the graffiti, the damaging graveyards, the nicking the stuff off the roofs, all of those crimes that have long-lasting impact. So as you pointed out, this is our stuff. This belongs to our country and our heritage for many, many years. So thank you, seriously, thank you so much for that. It's been absolutely fascinating. What shall we say to round us off then, Mark? The final word is with your good self, sir. If you want to give us a wash, or anything that's really important to put across, or that you want to finish us off with, the floor is all yours, sir.
I think the main thing is that although this is a serious issue, the vast majority of the public don't want heritage damage at all. They want to help the authorities. They want to help share intelligence. They want these people held to account. We can deal with those people that may be minor offenders. We can deal with those out of the court system. But where they are committing serious and organised crime, then we're working incredibly closely with police and the Crown Prosecution Service to bring those people to account. So we're getting a really nice balance between people we can deal with very quickly, respond well to education, very unlikely to reoffend, and then for those that aren't suitable for that, prosecution. If a measure of success is how many people have we sent to jail over the last 10, 12 years, it's very high. And of course, being the first person to do this job, I can always say the biggest, the greatest. Well, we couldn't do any of this work without all of those amazing owners and managers out there who look after and cherish these historic sites and buildings, all of our colleagues in the heritage sector organisations, law enforcement, not just the police, Maritime and Coast Guard Agency, National Crime Agency. It's a huge team effort. So I'd just like to thank everyone that's been involved, and hopefully we'll go from strength to strength.
Seriously, Mark, thank you so much. And one very positive note to end on, the criminals, the Sycamore, you mentioned it earlier on, the trees in Sycamore Gap. Now, they were convicted, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, sentencing is very next couple of weeks here in Newcastle, isn't it? Very, very soon.
15th of July, sentencing for the Sycamore Gap.
I'm going to keep a very close eye on that. We won't try and guess any outcomes, but in closing, again, fantastic result. Mark, please extend our sincere thanks to everyone within your team, everyone at Historic England, but more importantly to you. Thank you for giving up your time. They're just under an hour. It's very, very much appreciated. I'm just going to put you out of shot now, but I will come back to you in about 2 seconds' time once I've closed this off. Thank you, Mark. Much appreciated. Bear with me 1 second.
Thanks, Richard.
Okay, everyone. So just in closing, thank you so much for watching. My final request, if you've enjoyed this, feel free to share it either on LinkedIn, leave some comments on the YouTube channel. And if you are in the community where things are of historic value, churches, graveyards, our artifacts, things that we wouldn't have thought of. People nicking stone off our bridges and massive 2-ton drinking troughs. Those have been really eye-opening to me. It's all about being vigilant and getting involved as a community. So if something doesn't look right, report it. Get it reported to the police, and then the trained officers that Mark's been referring to earlier can get involved, investigate any crimes that have been committed, and hopefully prosecute those individuals who warrant prosecution, hopefully with a successful outcome. My last thing is, please feel free to subscribe to the Rural Crime and Farm Safety Training YouTube channel. We're going to do lots more of these talks. We've got some good ones coming up. Very pleased to announce that Stuart Hand from the National Rural Crime Network will be joining me in the non-too-distant future. So keep an eye out for that. If you go and subscribe to the YouTube channel, set the alert bell, it will tell you when we're going to go live. Thank you, everybody. I appreciate your time.